There's no controlling me, my thoughts get so bad, I'm like, I might grab a bat, I don't know, my wrath, my blood boils over like, oh God, here goes, I lost all feeling from my head to my toes, you said some shit that I can't let go, so just stay tuned for the rest of the show. So have you ever felt betrayed, switches how you see things, realize something needs change, cause I know you got me up, let me show you what's up. Cause enough is enough. I'll take a face full of pavement just to make a statement. I know there's no turning back. Oh God, adrenaline wasted, so mad I can taste it. I know there's no turning back. I'll do what it takes, I ain't making mistakes like that. I'll bleed on your face to make you go take it back. I'll lose my shit, I go crazy when I'm mad. I'ma poke a hole through you, choking's overdue. Come at me and you won't get any older, dude. Crack your holder too. Heating up inside of me, blood so violently. Thanks for trying me. Now it's finally time to see how this rivalry becomes a dynasty. We can make an impact, grab and then take it.
is up, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Hate to Pylon. And today's a special episode. We have a special guest today, Mr. Doc, Mr. Laren. Uh, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. I have stress-free football this weekend. The Eagles have a bye, so I'm just sitting back, chilling, enjoying.
That's the best type of football, stress free. Christian, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. Made some money today, so I'm feeling good. And I see, my boy Trevor Lawrence did his thing yesterday. I mean, he planned it out that way. So that's all. And I hit up Mike earlier, so I'm feeling good, man. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling great. How are you doing?
I'm great, man. I'm excited and well rested. It was a kind of a rough start this morning because my Tottenham Hotspurs got their ass spanked by Arsenal today, but it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. We bounced back. I watched Barcelona beat Real Madrid.
Right, my face. You just spit all over it.
Yeah, just spit everywhere.
Yeah,
but I'm doing all right, man. I'm super excited for this conversation because Doc, I haven't seen you in roll back the clock. Good over
it's been a minute.
10 years. Yeah, which is crazy.
Right? We all go move off different places.
Yeah, boom, boom, boom. Like, and it's just like you were such a big part of our lives growing up, and now it's like we're grown men, quote unquote, and now it's
it's that quote unquote.
It's good to catch up.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, almost 30, y'all. 3-0.
Eric says the man, the myth, the legend. Shift Kid,
What's up,
the teammate legend.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Another one that moved away and is doing big things.
So, what is life like at the Bay currently? Obviously, I mean, we're pretty far attached, but what's it like at the Bay now?
Well, currently it's actually kind of nice. We have a couple really good basketball teams right now. Yeah. So they're fun to watch. Our wrestling, they're usually always pretty good, but the last couple of years, our basketball's kicked it up a notch. We have a girl that's going to Charleston Southern, Elena. She's basically won the game for us last night, or not last night, a couple nights ago now. Beat the number 1 team, Stratford. So we took them down, and then the boys disposed of them in the second game. So basketball's fun to watch. When you get a special player like that, that's kind of a once in a career, I guess, type player that comes through there, to watch her kind of develop the way she has been kind of fun.
Is Coach Owen still the girls' coach?
He is.
Okay.
Coach Owen's still there. Coach McKean started with the boys last year. He has a son that actually plays on here. Great 3-point shooter, but he's got them all bought in. We got a bunch of basketball junkies, and so it's kind of like y'all, Charles, back in the day. We just had a group of football boys that, like, when they weren't in football practice, they were probably doing something with football. Right. And when you get some kids that are that's all they care about, and they work their asses off, they're going to have success. And that's kind of what we've seen in the last couple of years for basketball.
That's great. Because honestly, like, no offense to you, Christian, but
wow.
We went to school. The basketball team was just, it wasn't good. Right, so like,
you know what? What you're not gonna do. So actually, Doc, we had this conversation last night. I had to remind CJ that my first varsity basketball coach was Coach Zaire. he was our first basketball coach.
That was like a forgotten thing. It was like
everybody's trying to forget that.
Man, but yeah, I get what you're saying. I mean, you guys were on a different level, as in, execution of things, because you guys, football, I'm not saying it's not a hard sport, but you can always gain more physicality than the other team, weightlifting and all that kind of stuff. Basketball, it's more of individual, and I'll just be real. We had no respect for Calvin Kraft. I'm just gonna let it be known right now. We had no respect for Calvin Kraft. Yeah, I respected him because he was my coach, but it wasn't like there was no system to buy into. System was Jai Quan, and Jai Quan was a great player. Don't get me wrong, but his system was Jai Quan, and then sometimes Trey Doctor, and then Jai Quan. It was never everybody buy into something. So that's the difference. You guys bought into something. You guys ran an offense. You ran a scheme for defense. Like it was something. But that's the only difference though. But I mean, I would love to go back to Cane Bay and watch some basketball. I just
same, especially because they're good. That's like something like I think that's something we haven't really saw, at least for me, right? I haven't seen like I feel like obviously like early on in the process, I feel like the 2 sports or 3 sports that really dominated. I think had the best focus was football. I would say dominate, loose term for dominate for football. Football, like baseball and track. I felt like we're like the 3, and I think obviously Coach Todd was like an exceptional coach at Stratford. Has a bunch of guys in the league. And I mean, they're still doing really good. I'm pretty sure, right? There's the baseball team's still pretty turnout talent.
Yeah. Well, we're kind of in a lull right now. The big thing for baseball is to jump ship and go to a couple different schools. So we've seen a lot of players jumping around a little bit. The transfer portal is starting to become real in high school sports. But the sport that Cane Bay that doesn't kind of flies under the radar, but it's actually probably been one of the most successful is wrestling. We've had some really good wrestlers come through. We've always had good enough teams to go through the team playoffs, the duels, but never quite get to the end. But we've been close a few times. But that's been one sport that's been steady, good, and they have a good program with the younger kids, the really small ones, the little feeder program. So that one I think is going to stay good for a while.
Yeah, I forgot all about that. Well, to piggyback off what you said, I was having this conversation with someone earlier this week about how I think when sort of 2012 and 2013 class, I think like that's like when I started seeing talented players, whether it was football, baseball, basketball, start transferring to these private schools. And like in my mind, it was like I wouldn't be caught dead going to private school. But now if I was in the position now that like if I was in high school now, I mean that's almost like first thought nowadays. People want to go to private school, get all these recruits there and whatnot. And it's crazy how much it's changed so much. Like the private school for the rich kids and public school for the obviously just regular public school kids. I was going to say another thing, but I didn't want to disrespect anybody. But it was just, I don't know. Like I just never thought about, going to private school. And I think it not all started, but one person I remember in particular, Doc, you remember him, Dexter. Remember, Dexter went to Cane Bay, and then he transferred to Pinewood.
Yeah,
and I was just like, "Whoa!" Like, I just never thought that'd be like a reality thing, like something that could truly happen. But now you see it all the time. More kids are going to prep schools, private schools. What's that? Oceanside now is here now.
Oceanside, that takes a lot of the Wando and downtown type kids. Around here in Berkeley County, Dorchester County, you see kids just jumping school to school. Maybe not going the private school route, but then they have a parent that all of a sudden becomes separated. And so now they live in such and such a zone. So, we had a Hanahan kid, just throw them right out there. Kid go on Twitter and put a farewell like he was entering the transfer portal, saying that he's moving to Somerville. And it might be a legit move, but that's not the only kid that you've seen making the jumps back and forth. Like, there's a pretty open door policy, I think, at Fort when it comes to football players. But there's other schools too, and other sports that are more than happy to, bring kids in.
Yeah,
that's a big thing.
Okay, so right now, all right, so I think I was back in Somerville last year for the first time in a long time. And the development of the areas, particularly Cane Bay, and I guess a new area called Nexton, right? And like, there's so much land for development. There's so many more opportunities for more people to move here and growth for that area. I guess we have started to see like you're getting kids from like that. I don't know. You get more because obviously school's growing, but it's like also you get an opportunity for a bigger talent pool, hopefully better talent pool. And Cane Bay, you think we starting to see that?
You're seeing it in certain spots. I don't know if we're gathering a lot of talent. This explosion has been pretty quick, so a lot of the kids that move in are pretty young. So it's going to take a few years for them to move their way up through the high school. Very rarely when you have people move in. I mean, it doesn't happen, but a lot of it's the younger families with the young kids. And so the elementary schools and middle schools are just overflowing. We're overflowing 100%. Too a little bit, but nothing like the elementary and middle. And we've had the first wave that came through that bumped our numbers up. It took a couple years for us to see that. But I don't know about the talent. Hopefully, we get some athletes in. More to choose from is obviously going to help, but haven't seen that yet. But we definitely have seen the numbers in the lower grades starting to explode. And like you said, it's not even the same area anymore. It's
so different.
So different. I even went back to. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
You remember how you had to go all the way to the hot spot if you needed gas? If you
I remember. I think I told you that. Yeah, we had to struggle to get to the hot spot leaving school.
That was and the move. Now you can just go right there. Like
they got a light now. You know what I'm saying? Back when we was in
school, lights, 3 lights.
What's that?
You had to chance it. You had to chance it. You knew there was going to be an accident once a week. Someone was in an accident.
And I couldn't leave for very long, so all I had was the Janky Mart down on 176 in Jedburgh.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was a struggle.
I think our junior and senior year, that's when they put that Publix in.
When that Publix came in, that was life.
Clutch. That was
for
super
sure.
clutch.
And the Chinese restaurant, that was Pryor's favorite.
Henry Pryor.
What's up, Rashad? How you doing, man? How you doing?
Yeah, there was a Publix sign out there for 5 years before they built it.
Oh, for sure. For sure. But piggybacking off what you said, though, I went back to around Cane Bay about 2 weeks ago, just taking a drive. And like, I remember it stopped at Del Webb when I was in high school. Now there is just upon houses, gated communities for the seniors. Like there's so many houses back there. And I could only imagine the age that those kids are in those houses. And like the amount of kids y'all are going to get just from that one neighborhood right there. Do you think they're going to probably build another high school? They got to. They have to.
Yeah.
I think they're supposed to build one at Nexton, right?
Yeah. We gave back Sangaree.
Oh, you gave back Sangaree?
Yeah, we had to give back pretty much all of Sangaree. This was 2 years ago. And so
but
we're relying a little bit on them. Cane Bay Middle's huge now. But you know, Sangaree, those were those athletes. That's where we got a lot of our athletes.
He knows.
Preaching the choir here.
So I guess they go back to Stratford now, right?
Yeah,
because that's what we was gonna go with Stratford. Because I remember I went to a couple of workouts over there. And then all of a sudden, Cane Bay came along. It was like, all right, bet, let's do it. This is fresh. This is new.
Listen, if Stratford would have stayed, if like we would have stayed at Stratford, some sport would have got a state championship or multiple. Because that was just insane. Like especially like our class and the class in front of us, I guess you could say. I don't know. The 2014 football team, we ain't talking about them. They 2014 football team, we ain't exactly.
I think that was 13, and then a little bit of hangover on 14. Yeah, that was a rough year,
man.
So let's talk about the football team a little bit. Obviously, Mr. Russell Zaire, coach, has been now. I guess he's been coach for 14 years now.
Yeah, there. Yeah.
So, which is crazy. Have you seen this program go since then? Like, what has been your opinion? As PG or however you want to state have been since.
Well, I've never missed a varsity football game in the history of the school. So I got a pretty good perspective. But the first year was kind of brutal, and I got a million stories from all this. But we have 3 or 4 players, and then the coaching staff kind of has to mold the rest to kind of complement everybody else. So I think our records, will be 10-2, 9-3. Then we might have a year where you go 5-6, 5-5, then back to 9-2. The work that the coaches put in is remarkable, because we'll see some kids coming up and we'll graduate a class and be like, holy shit, how the hell are we going to have a team next year? And a couple of years ago was that, like, we were coming off a 3-6 year from COVID. And we graduated a bunch of those kids, and we looked at the JV kids coming up, and like they're not very big, they're not very fast. Fits Cane Bay perfectly, but what are the coaches going to do? And the coaches always seem to find a way to put kids in position to be successful. And honestly, for the most part, we might not have the most athletic kids, but they're good kids, and they work hard. And it's a testament to work ethic, I think, as far as when we have these good years like that. Like this year, we were 8-3. But if you came in, we had a huge offensive line finally for the first time since probably Big Mac was on the line. But it was just, they do what they can with who they got, and we somehow find a way to be successful.
I've seen some highlights. You guys got a couple running backs be back. I had his name earlier, but I lost it. But I think he's like 24 on the team, and another guy who like runs 4.4 or 4.3. He has like the record, I guess, at the school. Which I'm
TJ.
still, yeah. So so K-Bay's running a full-on wing T.
Yep, pretty much. Some variations
Coach
of that.
and Coach Todd still or are they still there?
Coach Todd is not. Last year was the first year that Coach Todd did not coach football.
Oh, wow.
Austin Smith stepped in. He'd been coaching with us for 2 or 3 years. Shane, he's had he still does baseball. I mean, his kids are getting up there, so opportunity to take his son to Clemson games and to, it was just kind of a mutual, moving on. But I mean, we pretty much run a similar offense. They try to be a little bit more dynamic with it, but still good old Cane Bay football.
Still good old Cane Bay football. Love that. Yeah, man, that's awesome. I think that's something. I think that's always like the DNA of Cane Bay is just the grit and the work ethic and what we did, because like we always worked hard. And I think I want to get your opinions about this, because we're going to go back a little bit. Like for us, we talked about this on the episode when we had the whole coaching change when Jeff Cruz left in the middle of the night, and then
they have athletes. You told me.
But like I was like, because I think we were always that type, because like I think Coach Cruz did instill in us like to work hard, to grind, to do what we had to do. I think that was always our blue collar type work ethic, right? But then I think when you add in when they left and like we're not good enough for you aspect, I think that's what really propelled us that year, especially to beat Berkeley. But I want to know, in this long-winded spiel, what was your reaction, or how did you felt when Jeff Cruz left in that term?
I kind of felt it coming a little bit.
Okay.
Jeff was a great guy. He was always good to me. And kind of piggybacking on what you said about, the work ethic being instilled, he was always in there doing it with you.
Yeah.
He was in the weight room with y'all. He was doing things with you. He was out there drill. He wasn't one of these coaches that sat back. He jumped in the trenches with y'all. And I think y'all respected him quite a bit for that. And Zaire is the same exact way. So they're very similar in that. So the work ethic, whole concept, that's why it's kind of continued on. It's because they were very similar in that regard. But I was a little pissed when he left, to be honest. We put all this work in, the last couple of years to get things going. And then I really felt that we were going to have a good team coming forward. And we poured into these kids for 2, 3 seasons, I think, at this point. And then I just like, why are you going there when you have this, like, you put all the work into it and we're going to be good next year, which we were. I just didn't think it was a very smart decision on his part, but I always kind of knew that that's where he wanted to eventually end up. So if that's the kind of afterwards, kind of look back at, if that's where you wanted to go, I appreciate you kind of leaving the team in good hands, not waiting for a big old group to graduate. So like a lot of coaches, I got what I could out of these kids. Now it's time to get out of here so I can let them rebuild. Now I think he brought the program up to a certain standard, and I appreciate that, kind of looking back on it. And Zaire kind of took that and kept it going. So early on, a little pissed off. What are you doing? You're going over there. They got athletes. I remember that. I remember that clear as day.
He loved about his athletes. Jesus.
But
So I want to ask you about, I don't know if you were involved in it, but like you got a lot of fans, Doc, here. Oh, it's the principal, Doc. Yeah, I think I was talking.
Oh, that's Jawan. That's Jawan.
Jawan, and this is AJ.
What's Mendez? What's
yeah, Melendrez.
Is that his last name?
AJ.
If you guys got a question for Doc, put them in the comments.
Facts, bro.
Number
Facts.
62, AJ Melendrez.
Yes.
Hey.
Fellow Eagles fan. Go Birds.
So okay, with the process of hiring a new coach, were you involved in it? Do you know like who was involved in it, and like did you have I guess like a person that you wanted to take over, or you just wanted to keep it in house?
Yeah, we went through the whole process. I sat in on the interview committee, so they had a pool of applicants, and I think we knocked it down to like 6 or 7.
Ooh, okay.
And
I feel like a lot of people from like upstate. I heard it was like some people from upstate.
Yeah, we had Coach there, Coach Christensen.
Yeah,
those were the 2 in-house guys. Then we had Coach Durham, who I believe is now at Andrews. He was at Goose Creek at the time. Coach Kander, who was, I believe, at Goose Creek at the time. The guy who's bounced around a little bit. I think he's a coordinator at Goose Creek now, maybe, or Ashley Ridge. I don't know. He's bounced around. He had a great interview. And then we had a guy from North Carolina with NFL experience. He was like a wide receivers coach for the Buccaneers for a few years. And then he was at a private school in Charlotte. And he looked
Providence Day?
I can't remember, to be honest. But he came down, and I was like, oh, shit, we got this NFL guy coming here. Yeah. And it was probably the worst interview out of all. Oh,
really?
Yeah. He looked like he just woke up. He was tired. And then we asked questions, and we're like, do you have any questions? No. He's like, actually, how much does this pay? That was his only question. Like, what's the pay?
That's tough. Tough.
I don't know. But yeah, coach there was and the guy from which I can't remember his name now. Both had really good interviews. Coach Christensen had a good interview, but I think the vision for the team kind of stuck out the most with Coach Zaire, and that's kind of where everybody's vote was going. Was Coach Zaire.
Okay. Yeah, B-Hall, we are talking about the coaching change. We just talked about just the DNA of K-Bay football throughout the years, and also which is blue collar, hardworking, and then just kind of getting Doc's perspective from a lot of different things.
And B-Hall's grandpa was in on those too, Sonny.
Oh, was he?
Yep.
Oh, wow. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I think he was in charge of the booster club at the time or something like that. He's a good fella.
Do you ever see a time in Cane Bay football where we will be a spread team, a modern day football team? Oh wow, B-Hall didn't know that.
Yeah, I'll kind of explain why everybody seems to be so, I don't know, shook about spread, because when we first started out, the first few weeks we were a spread team. So that Coach Cruz came from Hanahan where he spread it out. But it was our first ever scrimmage, and I'll never forget it. So we're a spread team. We got everybody a million places. And I think we had Brandon was one of the quarterbacks, Kellen Kunkel, and then Garrett, I think he was offensive lineman turned quarterback, turned back to offensive lineman real quick. But we didn't have much to throw it to. And so we had the scrimmage on the practice field because the stadium wasn't done yet. There was no grass out there yet, and we had a game in a few weeks. And so I think it was Holly Hill at the time, or maybe Lake Marion. They came in for a scrimmage. It was our first scrimmage. And so our parents are like hyped because, their kids are only like in 8th and 9th grade, going up into the
hit somebody.
Yeah. So we had fans, we had music, we had somebody with a microphone announcing stuff, and kids run onto the field for a scrimmage, and we're playing Thunderstruck like we about to whip their ass. And they destroyed us. I think each quarterback had 4 or 5 interceptions. I mean, we didn't get anything hardly past the line of scrimmage. At one point, I don't think anybody was keeping score, but we had to be down like 60-0 or more. And so I'm just thinking like, oh, shit, what did I get myself into? Because the previous year, my assignment was Timberland, and we almost won the state championship. And now we're getting beat 60-0 in the scrimmage. And then I think it's the last drive. We come down, and we've somehow found a way to get it in the end zone, and the place just erupts. Like we just scored the game winner. And I was like, good Lord, what are we going to do? But all those interceptions, I think that day, like I said, it wasn't anybody. It was a collection of everybody's fault. But I think it scarred Cane Bay football. That opening scrimmage when we lost almost, 70 or 80 or whatever it was to 6, I think it ended up being. It's a wound
didn't even make the field goal.
Yet. And we always have the worst luck, I think, in passing. And we've had some good quarterbacks come through. Brandon being one of them. Sean Sweat was good. Kilgore had his moments. And then kind of building on that, RJ. Yeah. So, I mean, we've had some good, but we've always had some really bad luck at really critical times, and it just rips that scar back open and rips the wound back open, and it's kind of hard but I think we'll eventually get there. I think the what we have now is over the years we've had, like early on, we had some different times where we'd have a strong line, and then we wouldn't have as very good skill players, and then we might have great skill players and not so good line. We've never really been able to put like a full team together consistently offensively. And so I think that is part of the reason, along with the opening scrimmage that scarred people for going on 14, 15 years now. But I think we'll eventually get there, but it's going to be a slow process. I think the intent was to, put the ball in the air a little bit more this year. But when we did, bad things happened. And like I said, rip that scar back open. Pick 6 against Wando.
I've been trying to keep along with the scores. You guys were really good. I mean, I feel like the region was really bad. But then once the region play came, I mean, Goose Creek just won their games. I think they finished like 5-6, and all their games just happened to be a region, and you win the region.
They've done that the last couple of years.
Yeah, which is crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Do you see this a power shift in you guys region 4A, right?
5A maybe or 6?
I thought y'all were 5A. Yeah, I think they're 5A. Yeah, they be traveling for games. Well, they used to be traveling for games.
Yeah, that wasn't fun. But no, everything's near. Well, like our region right now is Stratford, Berkeley, Wando, Goose Creek. I think that's it.
Oh, that's the same people we were in. But I remember that one year, I think we were like 2A or 3A.
Hilton
and
Head.
we had to go to Hilton Head, Bluffton, and I was like, "Geez, this is not fun. This is not fun." Like I knew then and there, if I was good enough, the NBA was not going to be my life. There's no way we're traveling that far.
Tuesday night away games.
But I have some couple questions for Doc, if you don't mind.
Real quick. Let me ask real quick. B Hall has one question. That's still a topic. Favorite game of all time.
I had some almost favorite games of all time. Losing the game at home against Berkeley when we should have won our first region championship, got the extra point blocked in overtime. That kind of sucked.
Yeah.
I don't know. There was especially in Brandon's senior year, there's just like a string of games where we didn't lose at home. And it's a good feeling when you go into games kind of knowing that you're probably going to win already. And I can't think of a specific game. Probably one of the craziest game would probably be at Colleton County. When Colleton County had won in like 8 years, probably not 8 years, like 2 or 3 years. And we pulled that one out at the end. I remember being down like 21-0 at halftime, and those other sides, their stands, I mean, it was a party. It wasn't rightfully so, because they hadn't even sniffed victory in 3 years, and we were about to hand one to them, and we were a good team. And Coach Zare made everybody stay out of the locker room. And I guess I don't know what he did to them, but when they came out, we came back. It took a couple long plays at the end and a game-winning drive for us to pull it out. But that was probably one of the craziest games that I remember.
That was one of the roughest half-game speeches too.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Were you part of that?
I heard that. I think I wasn't, but he was, yeah.
Maurice Wesley with the catch and just throwing people off him as he was going down the field.
And then I remember the big catch that Sean made.
Yeah, right on the sideline.
I remember we was practicing that. He got on motion at the slot, hit the crossing route. He dove, got his feet in, and then he got hurt. Yeah. And then next play was Maurice got the touchdown. Yeah. It was hype, but we shouldn't have been that hype. You know what I mean? Like, we should have blew this team out.
That was pure relief.
Yeah, but they definitely got their lick back.
That game.
He said they definitely got their lick back. 100%.
The year after.
Oh, yeah.
It was ready
so, Doc, I wanted to ask, I have a few questions. So, do you remember Coach Morgan? And do we know what happened to Coach Morgan?
Coach Morgan.
He was our JV coach. Short,
like JV,
older guy.
Like,
oh,
and our team went like 8-2 that year. The JV team went like 8-2. Huh?
Yeah, he had a stroke a while back. This has been probably several years ago now. I haven't heard much about him since. He was at Stall before he came to Cane Bay, and he kind of retired. And then they talked him into coming back. But little Napoleon guy, fiery dude, he was great.
Dude, I'm telling you, I remember there was one practice.
I mean, he was a legit, well-established, successful coach, and we got lucky to have a year or two of him as a JV coach.
100%. I remember my best story about him is or two, I guess. There's one day we were practicing in the summer, and there's this dog that came on the field, and the dog kept like interrupting practice, and he tried to keep kicking the dog off the field. Like he kept trying to kick it. He was like, I'll never forget, because I didn't play that much, and I was behind him the whole time, and he'd be like, I swear to God, I'm gonna shoot that son of a bitch if he comes near me. He was just a funny dude. And then another one, I guess we weren't being really physical in practice, and that was like his big thing, like bring the fight to them first. And he was like, if you guys don't get physical, I will. Grabs DeJuan Green by his helmet and like headbutts him, and his face bleeding, and we're like, Coach, you're bleeding. He was like, that's nutrition. And he just walked off, and he just got the little water thing and sprayed his face off, and he was like, that was a good workout. I was like, okay, man.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't think his health is good, and I haven't heard in a while, but I know he did have a stroke. It's probably been about 5 years ago now.
Man, that's tough.
Yeah.
That's tough.
Coach McNeil, who you remember Coach McNeil at school?
He still owes me some K-Bay merch, by the way.
Yeah.
I never forget.
Truth be told, when you were young and you would take 20 years to get out to practice for JV practice, we'd always tell Coach McNeil, oh, here comes your son. Here comes your son. He'll get here in about 30 minutes.
That's funny.
But Doc, what got you into sports med or athletic training? What's the correct term? Is that the correct term?
Athletic training. Athletic training is a career in sports medicine. Yeah.
Okay. So what got you into that?
I got hurt a lot when I was in high school, and so I'd have ACL reconstruction and things like that. And so during my rehab for that, one of the people that I was working with, he was an athletic trainer. And so kind of as I was going through that, I never even heard of one of those, to be honest. So when I went to college, I was still thinking about going into physical therapy, but they had a sports medicine program there with athletic training. And I kind of got into that. I was like, well, I'll do athletic training. And then, after that, I can go into physical therapy. And I just never decided I ever wanted to work in physical therapy. I wouldn't want to work in a clinic. I'd rather work with the team. And after tearing the other ACL in college, I knew I was not going to be doing any sports. So if I wanted to be around sports, I had to find a way, and athletic training was going to be the way to do it.
I kind of just thought of something. I don't know if this was you, but I vaguely remember this story. I think you were telling me that you tore your ACL for a second time in your other leg, and you said, you said that you were on the ground and you knew it, and you punched the ground.
Yes.
And is that true? Oh, dude, look at my memory, bro. I remember this right here.
Here's a question. Was your reaction when you tore your ACL similar to when Kyle Marie tore his ACL in the spring?
I'm not on that level. I could never be on that level with that. That's an all-time story at Cane Bay. And the thing that pisses me off the most about that story is somebody, and I wish I remember who it was, forgot something up in the locker room. So I drove the little gator up to the locker room to get it for him. And when I came back, the shift of trajectory of Cane Bay High School had happened while I was out. So I just got the ending part. I just got the, it's broken part. But I did not hear the, oh my fucking God. Which if Edwards was here, he could do it perfectly.
Oh my goodness, dude.
Yeah, that was
we've had some injuries or some strange responses to injuries during my time at Cane Bay. And that's probably cream of the crop right there that you can't beat that. We had one kid tear his ACL and he was laughing like the Joker out there. I guess he had to laugh in his screen. And he was laying flat and he would just keep popping up. It was like, ah! And then back to the ground, back and forth. And that's the only time I've laughed. I had to, like, Dr. Kupferman was sitting beside me and I had to turn and put my head behind him. And I remember laughing and looking up and seeing Coach Todd sitting there going, that's the only time I've laughed at a kid while they're in pain.
Oh my goodness.
That was crazy.
So CJ, this question is for you. Did you ever take Doc's sports med class?
No, but I remember like going in there a couple times to say
By the
hi.
way, Doc, thank you for that too. I appreciate that because
Do you still teach that class?
Yeah, yep. We have 3 athletic trainers now.
3?
3.
Jeez.
Yeah.
I still remember Marlon.
Yeah. He's at Timberland.
He's at Timberland. Oh, so he's kind of like switched places with you in a way.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
So what goes first, CJ, when you're taping up the ankle? What's the first step?
The little 2 little square things with the little ointment on the Achilles in the front of the ankle.
Okay.
That's it, right? And then you do the pre-tape.
Okay. Keep going.
I still remember I had the perfect ankles to tape because it's my foot's so flat. So it was so easy to do the ankle tape.
Look at not you over there hyping yourself up because you got the perfect ankle. Not you.
Okay, so Eric has a technical question for you, Doc. If it comes up, there you go. Is the basket weave technique still day one traded?
The classes are so big now, we have to wait for sports medicine 2, or else we'll run out of supplies pretty quickly. But tearing the tape, that's always day one. Because we have some people that struggle just tearing the tape, so we can't jump right into it. But like we always have the biggest player, like on the football team, takes one of those classes. He can't tear tape. The little person beside him is just snapping them off. And then it's fun to watch him get mad at it.
Man, that tape was something else. But yeah, man, thanks for having that class for sure. Because we could have taken a whole nother class, and it would not have been as much fun. And I think it was cool because it was just like, I'm just speaking facts here, because I remember one day, like, it was just nothing but athletes in there. And I wouldn't say they were trying to take advantage of you, but we see you as like big brother in a way, like a someone we can go to with everything. And these kids like were just taking advantage of Doc. And Doc came in one day, and I've never seen him. He didn't yell. He kind of put like his dad voice on, and it was just like, you know what? Bump this. I'm reading the book. Because I think what happened was he told us to read, and we had a quiz or something. And all his quizzes were so easy because at that time, like he would just tell you like the questions out loud, and then like you just gave the answer, and that was the quiz. Doc was pretty laid back then. And man, he walked in that classroom and he was pissed because people were just not doing anything or whatever. And I think one day we had a sub in there one day, and we killed this sub lady. Oh man, it was terrible. Doc was so mad. I never seen him angry in my life.
I think of the amount of times I've seen Doc angry. I can't really.
He never angry. It's like the voice. It's the voice that he uses. Like you just see him red, and you just.
I try not to get too angry because that's what they want. So if I got pissed. And like you all would be talking about, remember that time when Doc told us to go, like that. So I just try to keep it nice and level. And every once in a while, just like you said, got to bring the dad voice out. But I never want to yell because that would just make their day. And if they're pissing me off, the last thing I want to do is make their day.
100%. So my next question was, it's going to be controversial here. Which sport has the most crybabies? We gotta know this. Which sport has the most crybabies?
It moves a lot.
Okay.
Like there'll be some years where the football team won't stop crying. And then the next year they're fine. And then baseball, then it just kind of varies. I think a lot of the crying, if you had to pick one, would probably be track for sure. That's where the majority of the crying
comes
shin
from. Splints, man.
Yeah.
I've never gotten shin splints in my life. And I swear I was just like, what? Like it hurts? Like what are shin splints? Oh, it just hurts like in the front of my leg. What? Yeah, and it'd be people like I've never seen, like they run on Wednesdays. You know what I'm saying? And like they like their practice schedule is Monday, Tuesday, track Wednesday, Thursday, and you have Friday and everything off. Like these people, and I'm like, how are you the most hurt? And we're running like, and I did cross country and track. So it's just like, there's no way your legs have more mileage on it than me. And your legs are hurting right now. There's just no way. And what are you doing?
They never run until like the day of practice, first practice of the year, and then wonder why their legs hurt. Well, you haven't run in 9 months. That's probably why your legs hurt. But it shocks them that they would actually feel discomfort after doing physical activity. So that's if I had to pick one, it would definitely be track.
Speaking of track, I'm blanking on the name, and if Jawan is here, we were talking about this a few weeks back, but what's his name? I can't think of his name off the top of my head. But he was like the Gatorade Player of the Year for track. Yeah.
Jalen Boudreaux.
What happened? Because I heard he just stopped running and is going to the military. Like, just didn't go to just decided. I don't know the backstory. If anything you know that you are comfortable saying, I'm curious because I mean, a Gatorade Player of the Year at Cane Bay, that is insane.
That's the dreadhead guy.
He did, but he cut him off.
He had multiple.
You know, I heard a story about him. Yeah, he was going to join the military, and because Emmanuel, he has a state ring. I always tell him, you got a state ring because of this kid. Because that race that they did, Jesus. They were like last place or something or third. And that kid I've never seen anything like that.
He almost did it again.
And it was just insane. And he was like, yeah.
He like a pulled hamstring or something like that.
Yeah. He was injured that last race and still almost came from behind and won.
Man, that's intense.
Crazy.
It was his he had a muscle injury.
Like,
that's why I need to get on here.
I guess if you don't love it, I guess, but that's just wild. Like he had a path to the Olympics. Like he had some of the fastest time in the country, right? Like,
yeah, I would never count him out from not going back to running, but I think the biggest thing is he doesn't like school. So why would I want to go and commit to 4 years of school when I really just hate going to school? Like I would rather, if my goal is to eventually become this or be a Army Ranger or whatever, just go to that. So I think that's kind of his mentality. But Jalen is a unique individual. He does his own thing and doesn't need to ask anybody permission for it. He is who he is. And that's one of the things that you really liked about him because he was authentic.
Right.
When he's walking around a track meet, walking around in cowboy boots and a cowboy hat, and just looking a little crazy.
Watch too much Yellowstone.
Yeah, and then he'll basically walk up to the blocks, take his cowboy boots off and his hat, and put his spikes on, and then break a state record or something. I mean, it wasn't anything to him. So I think he was so good it almost bored him to a little bit as well. So
that sounds like.
But he's a great individual, great kid, respectful, funny. He's an all-timer, not just from his like track abilities, but just the stupid shit he would say, and just he's just a funny kid. He's just great. He'd always make you laugh.
100%. I got 2 questions from the outside, not from us, but from people in the chat, aka Jawan, because Jawan just has to blow my phone up every time we have a special guest on here. I'm not gonna say every question that he put on here, but 2 that he says, can you define shin splints? And then he said, which athlete at Cane Bay do you think had their potential capped or taken away due to injuries?
Ooh, that's a good question.
Well, we all know Kyle would be in the NFL. Not for that news.
We got to clip that instead of
playing for the Cowboys. Shin splint's a pretty general term. It's just an irritation of the lining of the tibia caused from mechanics, undertraining, weak muscles, tight tissues, like several different factors that cause it.
Okay.
Usually it's beginning of the year type stuff, and if you don't correct what's causing it, then it can develop into something worse, but usually it works itself out. But as far as injury,
why do you think of that? I know one person who had like a torn ACL, and I felt so bad for them. Lindsay Manning.
Lindsay Manning,
yeah, that really broke my heart when I saw that she tore ACL. She did do cross country a couple times, but she did basketball and
But she's one of those girls. She's one of those girls. You knew she was going to be all right because she was going to rehab the right way, and she's probably going to. I mean, she was smart enough where, basketball was more of a hobby than she wasn't going to have to rely on that. So that made me feel good. The one that made me feel kind of bad was the Elijah Bay when he had his hip injury against Stratford a few years back. It's been several years back, a quarterback, because he had transferred into Cane Bay, was having a great year, and then just big old, I mean, everybody knows that he had a hip dislocation, and it was just it just sucks because I knew that affected him being able to get into a school that he wanted to. So those are the ones that kind of hurt.
Okay.
I'm sure there's more, but that's the ones I can think of.
Hey, Kyle made his list, so I know Kyle's gonna be ecstatic that his name was mentioned.
I guess it was post school, but Anthony Enos, I think that's kind of the one I feel like that resonates with me because I mean just that electric senior year that he had, and not being able to capitalize and go to college, play football.
Yeah,
and I think that was the tough one, but
and he was the hardest. Like I have the career stats in front of me. If I had to, and he was number 2 on the list behind RJ Roderick for yards at 3,100 yards, but he ran so damn hard. Like if the game was he had to run through a brick wall before he could run 2 more yards, he would do it. It's just he would hit. I've never seen anybody in Cane Bay football history when they got the ball be at the speed he was, and he did not care what was in front of him. He was going to run through it. And I think what really propelled him that senior year is, he got in the weight room and he kind of got his balance. So when he did take that first hit, he was able to maintain his balance and keep going forward. And he was special. So yeah, that's one that I was really looking forward to seeing what he could do. But you know what? Life happens.
100%.
He's doing all right now. He's got cute little kids. So
I think for me, the person that hurts me the most is Doc, man. Who knows what would happen if he didn't tear those 2 ACLs, man.
I know.
Hey, let me tell you something. Doc might know this too. Like when someone says they're good at basketball, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you see their jump shot and you're like, what the hell? Ain't no way. So Doc, first time I saw Doc shoot, I was like, oh, why isn't this guy our coach? Jesus, I've never seen Calvin Kraft shoot a basketball ever in my life. Okay. So Doc's form is impeccable. Okay. Impeccable.
Years of training.
Hey, that's all it is. So
DJ wants to talk about his calves.
Man, Doc's like, okay, guys, you're getting a little weird here. You're getting a little weird here, guys.
Who's that?
AJ.
Oh, Jesus.
Talk about his calves. Oh, man.
42 ISO with Enos over and over again. Facts.
Yeah. And Enos doing this.
Yeah.
Going.
Okay, let me ask you this question. Who was your favorite running back?
Oh, here we go. Let me go ahead and hop off because I know there's going to be a million people hopping in.
In Cane Bay history, top 3.
Okay.
Top 3? Like my favorite or like ability?
Whichever you want. Your list. Your list.
We've had some running backs come through, so it'd be kind of hard to narrow that down. I think our best was Chris Copeland.
Ooh, Chris Copeland was really good.
Chris Copeland was he was so fast and he looked small, and so people thought they could come up and put a hit on him, but he would be running to the outside and he saw somebody coming up, he would turn upfield just so he could have some contact, and then he'd be talking shit as he ran over them. He was one of the kids that could take a game over just because he could break a big run at any second, and you knew it was just a matter of time before it happened. So he's probably, I put him up there. Anthony Enos. Then after those two, there's a big list of great running backs. Damon DeFord's underrated, I think. When he came through, him and Keenan Simpson, Fritz, as swifty as he was just we got a lot of good running backs, and they're all kind of different types of running backs.
Right.
That's so hard for our conversation that we were having. Like, there's so many different type of backs.
And then you can kind of throw our quarterbacks in there too, because really they're running backs.
Yeah.
So RJ Roderick, who is the leading all-time rusher. Devin Dingle.
Brandon Hall is hilarious.
Devin Dingle
played quarterback in
his senior year.
Forgotten
year. Yeah, he played his senior year as quarterback. And it was one of those things where there was a span there where we just put our best athlete at quarterback. Like, we're going to get him the ball. And then once we had Chris and RJ together, then there was a little bit of mystery. Who's going to get the ball? Is it going to be RJ to run it or wrist going to break when outside. So we were pretty good that year. I think we ended up 10-2 that year. But I don't know. There's been some good ones. James Bishop was probably our first leading rusher.
I love Bishop, man. I just wish he would have got his if he didn't get caught up, man.
Yeah. I remember when his last day of school, it was kind of sad. And then I think Tyler Farr, Ramonte Frazier, probably a return man. He's like our Devin Hester all time.
100%.
And it was fun to watch Alex King run too because he was like a water bug just going different.
AK.
Yep.
Hey. Okay. I wanted to ask which sport you think has evolved athletically at a super fast rate, as in, so I know it's kind of a weird question. So like for me, it's basketball, because now, like when I was in middle school, you weren't thinking about dunking. Like you weren't like that was never a thought. Like when you played AAU against,
Andre Duncan? Is that what you're talking about?
What are you talking about? This guy. This guy. But like that wasn't a thought. Like when you playing AAU ball, like in middle school, you weren't thinking, oh, this guy can dunk on me at any point in time. So like to me, it's basketball because kids are dunking at such young ages, and it's just crazy. And they're shooting the ball at a high volume at such young ages as well. So which sport you think just has evolved with athleticism the most, if that makes sense?
I'd have to agree with you a little bit on the basketball. I remember when we first started, we didn't have a kid dunking a basketball game for like the first 3 or 4 years of school. We ended up having to import a kid from Timberland. I can't remember his name.
Pierre.
Yes.
Pierre. Hey,
first dunk in Cane Bay history 4 years after the school.
Down the baseline. I remember it. And he just dunked it. And you know what's funny about that is this guy would go crazy in practice. Like in basketball, he would dunk everything. But in the games, like I wouldn't say he was soft or anything, but like he was just such an above the rim player. He could just lay the ball into the net. Until like one day, like Coach Kraft has got in him and was just like, can you just dunk the ball on somebody? And I can't remember who it was against. I think it was maybe Stratford or somebody. And he just went baseline and just cocked it back and just dunked it. And he ran down the sideline and was like, is that good enough for you, coach? I said, Jesus Christ. If Christian Lawyer can't say that to Coach Kraft, I'll be on the bench forever. I'll never play again.
Nah, he's from Timberland. He can get away with that. That's how
100%. But he was one of the nicest guys and such a team player.
Yeah,
man. There's so many days like after practice, I would try to stay in the gym and get some shots up, and he would just go to the locker room, change, and he'd be like, "Dang, you still out here?" And he would just come under the rim and just rebound for me. And I could only count 2 people, him and Jawan Tolliver, on my team who would and Jonathan, who would actually take time out of their day to rebound for me. Such a great team player. I don't know where he is, but man, like he was so cool.
That was one of those kids where you're like, man, we only have him for 1 year. That kind of sucks because, like you said, he's a great player and a great kid. So to only have him for that short time kind of makes sense.
That dude was cool, man.
But I mean, football too has evolved as far as athletic, like size wise and speed. Like the linemen are always going to be big, but the skill players have just gotten large, and the speed is kind of. I mean, it's a little scary the impacts that they have now, but I'd say, like I said, the linemen are about the same, but the skill players are just. I think in the last 5-6 years they've gotten larger and larger and larger.
I couldn't imagine playing football now, boy. Heck no, sir. But
I do want to talk about. Hold on. Actually, give me a second.
I got one more question for him though. That's my last question. Oh my God! Here we go.
You know who it is.
Oh my God!
You love him, you hate him, you want to be him, but you can't see him. You know it's me.
I don't want to see him. I don't want to love him. I don't want to be him. No sir. No sir. Doc, my last question for you is, if you could work for any sports organization, I know you love Cane Bay, but you can't choose Cane Bay. Okay. If you could work for any one of them, who would it be? What organization would you want to be a part of?
I'd have to go with the Birds in Philadelphia. I'm repping the Jaguars for Dougie P. Last night, I got a friend that works for the Jaguars, so he gives me some gear. But this is pure love for Dougie P. but I love the Birds. I have to stick with the Birds.
I had there's this thing going on TikTok, and it was this girl. She was like, apparently she was like Philly born and bred, and she was crying last night because Doug Peterson got a playoff win, and she was just crying because she was like, I understand it's the Jaguars, but he was with Philly for the longest, and I was like, Jesus,
4 years, 5 years,
man. But hi Juwan, how you doing, man? How you doing, buddy? Jesus.
What's going on, Doc? How we living?
What's happening? I'm doing all right.
Man, not too much. I'm always here. I'm always happy. It's another day. Can't complain. You know that. I hear them having a great conversation with you. So, Mac, what you got? I see you had something.
I do have something. I want to talk about this viral clip. I'm going to play it real quick. Oh!
Is that Marquise Hilton's dad?
Yeah, that's his dad.
He coached the varsity basketball team?
He's the assistant coach. Yep.
Oh, that's dope. That's cool.
Yep.
Crazy.
Coach McKean is the calm, and then he's the strong. Yeah. He's the bad cop.
I feel it.
So obviously this is blown up on SportsCenter next, I believe, on TikTok, and a bunch of people seen it. Obviously, we see the iconic Cobra on the back wall. What was your reaction? What was your reaction around the school when you heard about they broke the backboard?
I wouldn't have thought it would have been that way. That seemed like a pretty benign. I've seen some nastier ones than that.
Yeah.
But it was just more of a oh shit reaction. We got a game in a few days. We need some glass quick. But it's kind of far down the other side of the gym, so it didn't really catch on until the video started making its way around. But I think they got in a little bit of trouble too because they're not allowed to have phones in the gym, and so
here we go.
So they might have gotten a little bit of trouble. Might have had to do a little extra conditioning for that, not because of the dunk, but
a little self-snitching out here.
Do you feel like he gets to claim it like Shaquille O'Neal and say I broke that that backboard, or is it?
I'm sure he will.
It happened over time, and he just happened to be the one.
There's one that broke all by itself like 2 years ago, so we think that side of the gym is just haunted. And for some reason, that just explodes every once in a while, and he got to be the lucky one that dunked it on the time that it was getting ready to explode. That's the second one in 2-3 years.
Damn. Were you guys able to get it fixed, or did you have to move the game?
No, luckily we had when they broke the one the year before, and they got 2 for replacement, and so we were lucky enough to have one there. Okay. But now we've had to order another one to have on standby. So we would have had one there in time, but we were lucky enough that there was one right there that they could turn around and replace it fairly quickly.
Wow, that's cool. And now, I think K-Bay's basketball team is 12-3, 13-3, something like that, maybe.
Something like that, yeah. I think they were ranked last week. I think 9th, 10th, something like that.
In the state or the low country?
State.
Oof.
And the girls, they weren't ranked. They should be ranked.
They should be, yeah.
They beat the number 1 team, so
you got 14.
They better put some respect because Elena can take over.
Who's that?
That's Coach Hall.
Oh, that's Coach Hall.
Oh,
they get you on here next. That's a lot of stuff I want to ask you.
Coach Hall, let us send you an email right now and have you on the show right now. I'm ready for Coach Hall. I
got Coach Hall his own show. Yeah, give him a whole show.
100%. But he ain't never got time, man.
He's a busy man.
I see Coach Hall everywhere. I see everywhere.
Doc is a busy man too, man.
If something's happening in Cane Bay sports, Coach Hall's gonna be there.
Oh, let me ask you this question. Since we're talking about Coach Hall, who is the greatest coach at Cane Bay? This could ruffle some feathers.
Hey, I don't want Doc to get fired or have people putting mayonnaise in his coffee. I don't want to TP his athletic training room.
Can we go with the most accomplished?
Okay.
Okay, there we go.
How about Coach Walsh?
Yeah.
With his wrestling record.
Wrestling. Yeah.
One of the all-timers.
Does he have more state rings though than Coach Hall as far as track? Does he get both men and women's claims, or?
I don't know.
That's a Coach Hall question right there.
I don't think Coach Hall has the rings. I think he makes sure his athletes are taken care of. I'm not sure if he takes a ring unless there's a team one maybe, but he makes sure his people are taken care of.
100%. 100%.
Chris, you got any more questions for Doc?
Yeah, a fun one, I guess you could say. Do you do fantasy football or anything, or fantasy sports at all?
I do fantasy football. Didn't go so well this year, but yeah, I do get into that. I got into the semis, and I had Jamar Chase, and then the unfortunate thing happened with the Bills game, so that kind of hurt. But it's pretty cool what happened with that whole situation, and athletic training getting a little boost as far as legitimacy and what we do. And then the best part was obviously DeMar being able to recover fully. So, and he's still on doing his recovery. And I mean, a person of high character like that too, it makes it, not that anybody else would have been bad, but it just makes it sting a little bit when you see the stuff that he does in the community and have something like that happen to him. Hopefully he's able to fully recover.
100%.
Speaking of that, actually, I'm kind of curious. What has there been like? I don't know if you want to go into like some of the scariest situations you had to take care of or deal with as being an athletic trainer. Like anything that you can recall that was just like either gruesome or just like a tough moment for you.
Probably the worst one was a JV football kid. He dislocated his finger, but when he dislocated it, he ripped the whole skin or the finger down with it. So his finger was in his palm. So the only part that was sticking out was like this last little bone here. It looked like the end of a chicken drummy. And it was just shiny and white and just sticking there. And the coach drove him up, and he's like, "Coach, we got something bad here." He couldn't even talk. But that was probably the most visually nasty thing that we've seen. But luckily, we haven't had anything worse than broken bones and things like that.
Go ahead, put that question up. Go ahead, put that question up for Jawan. Go ahead, put that question up for Jawan. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Coach. Thank you, Coach. Hey, and I'm gonna go ahead and say yes. The answer is yes. You don't even have to think twice. I haven't seen a tandem, a trio, a quartet, a Kingston. I haven't seen nobody else come through and do what we do, top to bottom. So I appreciate the love, Coach. Doc, you can confirm. I know I spent a lot of
time. You can confirm.
Yeah, Samaj carried that. Yeah, you win.
Hey, Coach,
and Nikhil, because Nikhil got a state ring too.
Yeah,
gotta do that, man.
Nah, I can't think of anybody close.
100%.
If my family would have went through all Cape May, it would be a different story.
Oh, boy. I don't know, man. We were diverse. So. No, Doc was the man, though. He took care of us.
No, for sure.
Yeah, man. We talked about it earlier. Doc it's just crazy how, like for me, my parents always just told me, pay attention to people that you're around in high school, because there are going to be a lot of people who you think are your friends and you're not going to talk to them ever again. But then there's some that like Jawan, Anthony, Big Mac, Joey, and Jonathan, and many, many more. Or I guess not that many, but many more. And then I think of like teachers, right? And there's some teachers who there's only maybe two that I really think that I connected with. But then there's like Doc. And it's just like every time you went to Doc's like athletic training room, there was somebody in there, but Doc was in there. And my favorite line of Doc, I swear, someone would walk in there and they'd be like, "Hey, like my wrist hurts when I do this." And he'd be like, "Then just don't do that." And just walk out. That was like my favorite thing to hear from him.
It's kind of like a bullshit filter.
Yeah. But it's just crazy that Doc, you may not understand it from our point of view, but like you really were someone that we kind of like just looked up to in a way, like in the athletic world, just because you were kind. You were also kind of harsh in your own way, like just kind of like suck it up, don't be the what word, and you just always knew when to tell us how it is, but also keep us in the mindset of like, if you're gonna do this, you gotta do it the right way. If you're gonna do this, put 100% in. Don't put 50% in, because if you put 50% in, then I got to be out there carrying you off the field, like in a joking way. And I don't know if you know, but we all of us, everybody in the comment section who went to Cane Bay, like, we truly do care for you, and we really do appreciate you at the highest level. And you may not know what you did for us, but we truly care for you.
No, I appreciate that, and feelings mutual. We've had some great, like I said before, we've always had like great stand-up kids, and it makes the time that you put in worth it when you enjoy the people you're around.
For sure.
Hey.
Even Coach Hall says you even take care of the coaches when they get injured kicking footballs at practice.
Yeah. We've had a rash of injuries the 1 year. Football coach, we had an ACL tear with the coach running the option.
Jeez.
We had a football, our coach injured themselves kicking the football. So there's always something going on.
100%.
Jordan Middleton says,
"Hey, Big Mac, what we got for I know you guys were talking football earlier. Did you guys ask Doc about his all time?"
We talked about his top running backs.
We're not getting into all that, Jawan. We are not. Doc has a family he has to tend to. Okay, we done found out Doc got 17 kids and we didn't even know it.
Coach Hall's here, Doc's here. We talked about this before, but a alumni flag football game, an alumni event, either around homecoming or sometime to like possibly like raise money for the athletic department. How hard would that be to get in contact with like the athletic director? You guys, like, how hard do you think that would be to set up? Because I would definitely will be a person to help spearhead it. But I think that's something I think we might have a strong interest in doing, especially bringing everyone back together. Because I think we really sparked a Cane Bay reunion type with our list that we made, our top quarterback.
Can I let you know one thing, Doc? Let me let you know one thing on that. So that list that came out that you saw, I want to let you know Jawan threw that at us. Okay, he posted it like we said that as a group collectively.
Right.
But it was one of the coolest. But it was one of the coolest things to see so many people comment on it. And so many people get mad and upset. And then that day that we just had, I swear, man, we had at least maybe 9 people in the room with us, like in the chat room with us, just talking about it. It was insane.
Yeah,
but I think
it was a list that looked like it was put together by somebody who's watched 2 years of Cane Bay football, not 14.
Woo, Jawad, baby.
Does Mike Jordan and the Marshall Band not count, Doc? I mean, I was up there. I had to travel with y'all to AC floor and sit in that freezing cold, all that stuff. Does that not count?
That's not the coldest game. That was cold, but that wasn't the coldest game ever.
What you guys the
coldest game ever was that North Augusta playoff game.
Oh yeah.
Devin Dingle that was his senior year. Can't remember all the. I just remember him as a quarterback, but that was definitely a close game.
Look, Doc, I took into consideration what they were saying, but I had to throw it out there for myself. I knew it was going to go, and to be honest, a lot of people, like Christian said, they got upset. They were happy. There were some people, mad. But I will say this, and y'all can attest. We went through that whole list start to finish, and everybody was like, you only had like 1 or 2 things that was off. So that's why I was like, I want to see what you got or what Coach Hall might have. Because
don't let him give validation.
A lot of people, we had Jordan on, we had Gully on, all of them. They was like, just a little bit. So
no, it was bad, but I definitely would have some tweaks. But everybody's gonna have their own opinion.
100%.
I love it.
Doc, give us how about later on when we're done recording, you send me your list whenever you can this week, and we will post it and say this is Doc's list, and then what we're gonna do is we're gonna take Jawan's list and Doc's list, put them next to each other, and say you have to pick one. Who are you going with? And if Doc beats you, bro, I'm sorry. You gotta. Okay. I'm just letting you know.
I'm trying to get everybody on the show. I want to talk to Coach Hall. I think Brett Fields is coaching at Cane Bay now, right?
Yes. Yep.
So I'll love to talk to Brett. Cool. I'm trying to get all these guys. Just
we do that, Doc. We'll see who has the better chance to go undefeated. Just put the 2. You could do whatever scheme. I just did an air raid, but you could choose whatever scheme. And
there's really only been one scheme, so.
No. You can have your own. We chose our own, so that's the one I like.
But Coach Hall, if you're still in the comments, but not to shy away from anything that CJ was saying. How can we make that happen? We would love to be there.
We'd love to host it.
Host it 100%. We can do a show there.
Do a live show.
It would just be so awesome and raise money for the football team or the athletic department in general. It'll be so awesome to do that.
Our athletic director loves things like that, so I don't think that would be a problem. He loves involvement and great guy. He get kids back on campus, get people excited about something. He would definitely be all in on that.
Let's do it. I'm ready. I can go meet with them.
He says,
yeah, exactly. That's something that's got to be offline.
100%. Coach Hall, I don't know if you have my number, but I mean, I know CJ's not close to town, and neither is Jawan. Definitely not close to town. Boy, definitely not close to town. But if he wants to, Coach Hall, I can meet with you anytime. I'm still in town, so yeah, if you want to meet, or I can meet the athletic director and pass everything on to them, that'll be super easy to do. Alumni soccer game.
Well, the thing I think is like if it was, we'll talk about it later.
We could make a whole series. I'm with you. No basketball. No, we
definitely got to do a basketball game.
Well, they already got something.
They already did that, and they clearly we know we didn't get. I didn't get that. Well, I didn't get the invite. That's fine. We know who the favorites were. It's fine with me. 3-on-3. Jesus Christ.
3-on-3.
Oh, me, Jawan, and Fabian. We got that.
It's the YCA podcast. If you guys are interested in that, definitely check it out. It's a coaching podcast with some of his buddies. So I think it's like Young Coaches Association, I believe it was called.
That's cool, man. That's cool.
So check that out.
That's cool. But yeah.
We'll set something up like that.
But yeah, Doc. So would you be able to join our fantasy football league next year?
I'm down. Yeah.
Hey.
Yes, sir. This league is going to be a 16-man league.
CAA. He said, "I don't know what I got myself into now. I might as well." He's gonna retract his statement now, buddy.
It's gonna be tough, but it's gonna be fun because the score is gonna be super accelerated. Kicking points are gonna be super high. No defenses. It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be a fun league. Trust me. It's gonna be fun.
100%.
B.O. what's the coach? Hey,
coach. Yeah.
Bring him in.
Let's do it, man. And we could do like a softball league or
So
baseball. We could do so much. No track though. I don't want to see any blown backs, torn AC. None of that.
Brandon doesn't need a coach. Brandon can still ball. He can still throw it. He needs to be out there.
There you go.
Hey, XFL, USFL.
Yeah, you're gonna be trying out for that arena league. I saw they had something coming in Charleston.
Oh, they had arena league. Oh yeah. I saw something about that. Mm-hmm. That's pretty dope. That's dope.
Where's this man?
Gotta be careful with those. They don't take care of their athletes very well.
So, Doc, how do you feel about that? I will ask that question. Like when you see like the Tua injuries, the DeMars, when you see, even the Comries from yesteryears and stuff, do you feel like things have progressed? They gotten worse? Like, do you like the officiating? Do you like the rules in place? Like, how do you feel?
I think surface kind of plays a lot into it. Especially in the NFL, there's a reason why the NFL players don't like turf.
Yeah.
I think that has a big thing to do with it. I think medically, doing a better job as far as head injuries, obviously in the last few years, but it's a violent game, so you're never going to take those injuries out. But the way you manage them can always improve. So I'm sure they'll take a long look at the protocol that Tua has followed, and I mean, if you follow the protocol, but you get back and you do everything correct, but you get back in the game and you get tossed and slam your head on the turf again, I mean, you can't prevent that sort of thing. So you just got to, like I said, follow the protocols. And I guess he didn't clear protocol, which is fine. So at least it sounds like they're following what they should in his regard. But it's you're never going to take injuries out of sports. You just got to make sure that you manage them appropriately.
So do you think so? Because I know with the, I guess the second concussion, or because he didn't get Tua didn't get through. He wasn't in protocol, but they had meetings where he had trouble memorizing or remembering things. Mm-hmm. So at that point, do you put him in concussion protocol because of his memory loss? Because that is I guess an effect of having a concussion, or do you kind of just like give him a breather, or you know what I mean, or do you think that could just be part of the fatigue as well throughout it being beat up all season long?
Well, with him, are you talking about where he didn't get put in protocol till the next day type thing?
Yeah, because I think that was like the latest one. That's why he's not playing now, because like he they didn't put him in protocol. I guess he wasn't showing signs or whatever through the game, but then once they were in meetings, apparently the report was that he was having difficulty, like remember plays, things that he did, his decision making during the game. So that's when they decided to, I guess, put him in protocol or like check him out, I guess officially.
And they're going to take vicious hits the whole game. So every time they take a vicious hit, if you did, you'd have to do that for everybody. So if he wasn't reporting symptoms at the time, and it's not uncommon for somebody to take a hit during the game, not be like super symptomatic, finish the game, and then after they've had a period for the adrenaline to wear down, they start having more issues. So that's probably where he fell in that category as far as concussion.
So do you think there's any type of favoritism, if you will, because he's the star of the team, because he's the face of the franchise, or he has a chance to get top D1 scholarship offers, we're going to throw him back out there in the game? Do you feel like there's any of that goes on?
At high school level?
High school, college, pros.
I'd say there's probably less and less of that because there's protocols in place, and if something happens, they'll just you're obviously the athletic trainers are probably going to be the ones that step in and make sure that doesn't happen. But there's always places that don't have an athletic trainer where the coaches are in control of those decisions. And I'd see it more in that situation. With athletic trainers, we're pretty much on a strict protocol. Most of us like our job, so we need to follow protocol, and we like our athletes too. We don't want any long-term side effects for them either. So we probably would err more down the side of caution. Doesn't matter. We have the protocol where you have to come back a certain amount of days, and if we get to the point where it's one more day and then they would be fully cleared and it's game day, we're not going to skip that day. And I think part of that is our coaches know what the protocol is too, so there's no wiggle room. If we tell them this is the earliest day that they could get back to activities 4 or 5 days in advance, they know right from that point whether or not he's going to be able to make it back. So there's no discussion once we get to that point.
He all said he got smacked against Bluffton and told Doc I had a headache. This man kept me out homecoming week. Hey, good job.
It's probably advanced even more from when B Hall played.
Yeah.
But especially the helmets weren't as crazy as they are now too, like what we had. So advances happened far along since then. But
y'all got the Power Ranger helmets, Doc?
Yeah.
I got the Power Ranger helmets?
You got the Power Ranger helmets?
Slowly infusing some of the different types.
Do you have control over like that, or is that just like how does that work for like new equipment and getting stuff like that in? Like, do you get like say of like, hey, I would like for them to get this, or like especially for like baseball, possibly like some new stuff, or like any like the collision sports, like do you get any say on like safety equipment?
Not really. I mean, coaches are pretty much in control of ordering, and coaches look at it from the standpoint too. They don't want to lose their players, so they're going to put them in the best helmets that we can find. And there's reps that have the different helmet ratings. So if we have enough money to buy 15 helmets a year, coach there is going to make sure that we get the 15 best that are available. So in those type of like equipment, they're not going to, skimp on, getting cheap stuff when it's protective equipment. All of our coaches do a pretty good job about making sure that our kids are equipped as best as they could be. So I don't really feel like I've ever needed to add anything to what they've been doing.
Okay. Cool.
So have you
final questions for Doc, and we're about to wrap it up.
Yeah, I have one more. So you've influenced a lot of people. You have a lot of, athletes that love you. But outside of that, you brought in a lot of trainers, from CSU and stuff like that. Have any of them gone on to do something great and then, reach back out and say, hey, it's because of you? Or have you seen anything?
Laren tree.
Yeah, how far does the Larry tree go? How far does it go?
Well, how about we got a Cane Bay graduate that's an athletic trainer for the Texans.
Oh.
Dylan Gregory. Trying to think of what year he graduated.
That's great.
That's awesome.
That's awesome, man. That's
so
the
first one to make it to the league.
Yeah.
Dylan
I need
Gregory.
to get a fanny pack and have him autograph it. We'll put it up in the training room.
Heck yeah. That would be super cool.
No, I'm super proud of him. He was one of our students, would help us out on Fridays and Thursday nights and all that. And just really enjoyed his time and ended up going to South Carolina, got his degree there, went to New Mexico State. Yeah, here we go. And then to New Mexico State for his grad school, caught on at the Texans, did a great job, and he's finished up his first year. Kind of a turbulent year, but he finished it up, and he was ready for year 2.
Hey, Davis awesome. Mills, baby.
Yep.
All right. Bryce Young, baby.
Bryce Young, baby. But
Chris, you got any final questions?
I do not, man. Doc, I just want to say thanks, man, for all you did for us here in the comments and in K-Met history, and we appreciate you being on. And this definitely won't be your last time on the show with us, 100%, man.
No, I enjoyed talking to you guys, and a lot of goats on the screen and in the comments as well.
Hey, man, appreciate that, man. Appreciate that.
With the Doc. Obviously, we're going to have there should be some more with Doc coming up soon, so make sure you keep it locked here at Hate to Apollo, and follow us on Facebook if you're not already, YouTube if you're not already, Twitch, Instagram, Twitter. We're on all of it. And follow, tell your friends about us. We're trying to grow, get bigger and bigger this year as we're trying to get this flag football game going. We got a lot of big things, covering some basketball games coming up soon. A lot of great things in store here at Hate to Apollo. Also, if you haven't heard about our new podcast, What I Done, hosted by Christian over here. We talk about movies, TV, music, life, all that good stuff. And 100%. It's on all your streaming platforms and also at YouTube to watch the video version. But without any further ado, guys, it's time to go.
Yes, sir.
Hanging out with us. We appreciate you so much. You guys are awesome, amazing. We love you. And have a great night, guys, and have a great work week. Peace out.
See you guys later.